Other news? Metropolitan Police and the Independent Police Complaints Commission have said sorry to the family of Mark Duggan for failing to notify them of his death. 29-year-old was shot by police last summer in Tottenham, North London, triggering riots across Britain. Let's talk to Reverend Nims Oblinge, who is the pastor at the Freedom's Ark Church in Tottenham, joining us live, as you can see, this afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on Sky News this afternoon, sir. Talk to us about what we've heard today from Tottenham. Do you think that, obviously, it's just about the family having not been told about their son's death in a timely fashion? Do you think they are moving some way towards closure now?
The word closure, I don't know that I could work around that, because I think the family are still waiting to find out what exactly happened to their son and how there's, you know, the incidents around his shooting. But I think the apology is really about saying, after your son got shot, we didn't manage the circumstances in the best way possible. And I think that's what's significant about today. What's significant is that the IPCC and the Met have publicly acknowledged that they did not manage the parents of Mark Duggan effectively, and therefore they didn't support the family through the very grieving situation, a very traumatic situation. I think also what we've got to understand is there's the potential, and there's a question around, I feel quite strongly about this, that if we had that interface, an effective interface, immediately after the shooting of Mark Duggan, maybe we won't have, and I feel more than just maybe, we won't have had the riots, because you used the word rightly. It triggered the riots. Now, maybe if the family had been given the right support, there won't have been a march to the police station. Then there won't have been the subsequent, you know, unrest and then the riots. So I think it's an important landmark in this journey towards trying to get to that point you refer to as closure.
And so do you have any sympathy with the officers on that night who, as far as they were concerned, they felt that they were doing the right thing, that family members were there, and it was more appropriate for those family members to speak to Mr. Duggan's mother rather than police officers knocking on the door, which of course is every parent's nightmare?
I think that whilst I understand that there might be some concerns around who was meant to deliver the death message to mom and dad, historically, and in the history of policing in the United Kingdom, it's always been the responsibility of the police. And if you would have looked at the report given by the IPCC, the mother said that albeit she had heard rumblings around it, but a mother's worst nightmare is the police knocking on the door to say your son is dead. And she said, quoting, that because the police never knocked on her door, she had a little glimmer of hope. And so, I think there is something here. There's a massive learning curve for everybody involved in this situation, that no matter what, there's the trauma that all family members would be having at that time. Even if a family member is told, I think there is a responsibility that the police have and have acknowledged, and hence the apology, that they need to actually be the ones ultimately to say to mom and dad, this has transpired.
Yeah, it's just not the right order of things, is it, for a parent to have their child die before them? I believe you actually sent an email to the police 24 hours before the riots began in Tottenham at the end of, or the middle of last summer, and you felt that if the police had taken notice of that, then it might have been a very different story.
Yes, without a doubt, I feel that there are different points of intervention that the police could have maybe managed community unrest, and there was that concern. I had emailed before the riots saying that in order to avoid a reactive position from police, and I thought a proactive situation was important to mitigate against this. Unfortunately, that wasn't picked up, but I'm sure the police are looking at it, and we're waiting for the final Gherkin report to identify whether they acknowledge the opportunities to learn how they could have handled it better.
Is Tottenham a more peaceful place now than it was at the end of last year, Pastor?
Well, without a doubt. You go around Tottenham, and there's this big heart around in the community, and it says, "I love Tottenham." Now, obviously, people challenge it, but what I like is the fact that, you know, Tottenham hasn't felt that kind of love for a long time. And we have Sir Stuart Lipton, we have Boris, we have David Lamb, we have everybody coming, you know, our MP working very hard, and we've got folks from outside coming and investors looking at what we can do. Spurs are doing much more now. So everybody's looking at what more they can do to Tottenham. So Tottenham is feeling the love. And what we just need to do is make sure the love doesn't end.
Okay. I'm sure in some small parts, perhaps no small part, that you are involved with that, Pastor Oblinge. I know that those that attend your church speak very fondly of you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up in